Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. And I believe, I could be wrong, I believe this is the last request from Jonathan. Sorry it took so long to get to all of them. Try and get to them as soon as I can, but I really do appreciate it, Jonathan, for your kindness, as well as everyone out there watching. I do appreciate you guys for your kindness and for being patient. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of reviews, re-reviews, topics, reactions, commentaries, video game playthroughs for an hour, a full playthrough, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box. I'll get to as soon as I can. This is for Patriots Day from 2016. Which I'll be honest, I wasn't sure what I would think of this before I started watching because it's Mark Wahlberg yet again. It feels like at this time period, it felt like every other movie had that guy in it. And yes, while there are a series of films of his that I like, I would have this mindset of, does it have to be him though? Like, how can I miss you if you don't go away? Aren't there other actors that I could see in this part? Yes. I But at the same time, I like Fear, The Big Hit, The Italian Job. But then there's Mile 22 that I didn't like. There's his Transformer films I definitely didn't like that he was in, those two. I think I saw one of them. It was so bad I didn't even see the other one. Two Guns was there. It was just there. This, though, I gotta admit, I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. I thought this was actually a fairly good film. It's directed by Peter Berg. Peter Berg, who starred in Shocker with Mitch Pileggi. I thought he did a really good job with that. And then he would go on to be a director. He did The Rundown, which I easily think is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's best movie. I am looking to see what else he did, because I did really like The Rundown. Let's see, his directing. Trying to see where his directing stuff is. It's talking about his acting. Okay, here we go. The Kingdom I really enjoyed. I thought that's a really good one with Jamie Foxx. Hancock, I actually don't mind. Battleship was awful. I did not like Battleship. I thought that sucked ass. Lone Survivor, I don't care for Lone Survivor, man. Mile 22 I hated. Spencer Confidential I hated. I forgot Peter Berg did those movies. And now I remember it because I remember hearing about this film. And I'm like, wait, Peter Berg? Oh, shit, yeah. And because I saw those films before this. Like, Mile 22 was a waste of Iko Uwais, who was in The Raid Redemption. Horribly directed action scenes. Lame as fuck ending. Spencer Confidential. So forgettable and generic. And I'm like, how many times does he have to make a movie with Mark Wahlberg? Lone Survivor, Deepwater Horizon, which I didn't see. This film, Mile 22, Spencer Confidential. So I'm like, okay. So, Lone Survivor I don't care about. Mile 2022, fuck Mile 22. That fucking sucked. Spencer Confidential. But I will admit, this, of the ones I've seen with him and Marky Mark, this I liked. This I liked. Because I thought it treated the subject material with a level of respect. I thought that the other cast members, you got John Goodman, J.K. Simmons, Kevin Bacon, Michelle Monaghan, who I liked in Eagle Eye. Really good cast. It's about the Boston Marathon bombings that happened in 2013, which is strange talking about this now because what happened in New Orleans with the truck. So very weird timing. He requested this well before that happened, so it's not like, oh, no. Jonathan requested this weeks before that happened. It just sadly is taking me this long to get to it, so that's not Jonathan's fault, that's my fault. But it was directed with a level of respect, and Mark Wahlberg did it. Did he have credit where credit's due? I thought he did a good job. His Boston accent fit with what was going on, of course. So he actually felt a bit more natural. Like, this one made more sense that he starred in. I don't think he needs to be in every role, but this one, it made sense. Granted, his character, Tommy Saunders, is not a real person. It's an amalgamation of people. I know some people from Boston did not like that. Because, understandably so, they felt, well, why don't you have the real people that did this stuff? Why are they not represented? I get that. I do. Obviously, they put in one person to make it a bit easier instead of having even more characters. Because there's still quite a few characters in this. But I did both sides. I do. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And also, how much of this... It seems a lot of it is legit, but, with everything with this, is there anything that kind of they twist the truth about? I don't know for certain. For those who are an expert on the proceedings, you let me know in the comments. But working as a narrative and as a movie, I thought it was effective. Where it brings up some of these other characters, like there's a couple arguing about how to say certain words in Boston, and they're going to the marathon. You have this MIT guard, where there's a point that he's goofing with his buddies about playing Call of Duty. I thought that was kind of a fun scene. You have this Asian guy, played by, was it Jimmy O. Wayne, I believe? When I get his name right. Who plays this guy named Meng, M-E-N-G, who is happy they bought this car, and he's sending video footage via phone to his parents that he's doing well in Boston and things are going well for him. I want to see if I got the name right. Yeah, Jimmy O. Yang. Jimmy O. Yang. He's a driver who later got carjacked by the two bombers. But then he's able to make it out, call the cops, and able to help catch one of them. Or, not catch, but get one of them. But it moved at a good enough pace, and I thought the actors worked well enough. Like Mark Wahlberg, he did something wrong, so he's on he's on punishment duty. John Goodman is the commissioner. Seems like him and Mark Wahlberg's characters know each other for a while. Michelle Monaghan from Eagle Eye and other stuff plays Mark Wahlberg's wife, and she's also a nurse. And then you have our two bad guys, our two bombers. But you set up the characters with enough time to know a little bit about them, a little bit about their personality. You have the Boston Marathon. These two pieces of trash that I'm not even going to say their characters' names. They put bombs in different places. There's an explosion. And just the chaotic nature. And I liked how Peter Berg chose different angles and even security footage. So he really tried to mix it up with the filming of it, which adds to the chaos of the situation. And you see how Mark is trying to maintain order and go over here. Let's get an ambulance here. There's a lot of people hurt. Sadly, there was a couple people who did die. It doesn't hone in on the gratuitousness and violence, but it shows enough to definitely give you a visceral impact. Like there's a laid line somewhere over there, but it doesn't get exploitive. I don't think it was exploitive of the situation, at least in my opinion. Kevin Bacon comes in because he's with the FBI. They set up a command center, and they get like this swarm of emails, and it automatically crashes the site. And they're searching footage to see if anything they notice that's a bit peculiar. Now, granted, some of the characters that we see earlier, like we don't get a whole lot with them after the bombing. Like the couple we saw earlier, the idea is that each one of them lost a leg or had to have a leg amputated. And like one's over here and one's over there. But then they get kind of forgotten about. Same with there's this guy and his kid was hurt and they get separated, and there's a part of the hospital where he's asking where his kid's at. But again, they disappeared. Now I get why, because there's a point where we gotta really focus on the investigation, find the two bombers, getting the two bombers, stopping them. To break that momentum, to keep going back to these other characters in the hospital, it would have broken that momentum. And so I understand not going back. I do get that. I actually appreciate that. Just one of those weird things, like you bring people up and then just the point they disappear and you never hear from them again until maybe the very, very end. Now, I don't know how else you would do that. It's like you want to bring these people up. Obviously, Peter Berg had that, or whoever wrote the script. Actually, should look into who wrote the script for this. Well, Peter Berg worked on the screenplay with Matt Cook and Joshua Zetumer. And this film did not do well. It cost $45 million. It only made $52 million in the U.S. So, actually, was that in the U.S.? No, $31 million in the U.S. 24 and 59. It says here $52 million, but another place see. Okay, it's 52. I don't know why I said 59. Yeah, 52 million. Wow. Or maybe that. Wow, I'm losing my mind. Maybe I did say 31.9 million in the U.S. 52.2 million. Wow. So it really was a bomb. Which is a shame, because I actually think this is one of the better films Peter Berg has done, and just I thought it moved at a good enough pace. Like, it's a lengthy film, but I didn't feel it. It was always moving forward. It didn't dawdle for too long. Mark Wahlberg, I crap on his acting, but he did a good job here. There's a nice moment where he's with Michelle Monaghan. He's breaking down. After he's breaking, oh, you shouldn't have been here. I can't believe I brought you here. No, it's not your fault. Or there's a bit where he comes home and he's had all this chaos, and then all the family, blah, 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 blah. It's like, just get the fuck out, all right? Just get the fuck out. Which I don't blame. It's like, he's all the shit that he saw and people hurt, and just needs time to relax. I did like the scene where Kevin Bacon gets Mark Wahlberg in, and they set up in the command center where people were at. Is it okay if the person's going this way? What security cameras do we look at? And it's like, okay, over here there'd be that, and they checked it. There's nothing there. Oh, maybe this security camera. They checked it. Oh, we got the person. Okay, they went this way. Now, which security camera do we look? I thought that was. I don't know if that happened in real life. Like, were there multiple people figuring that out, or what? But I do like that idea. I like the way the scene plays out. I don't know how else to put it. It was a nice way to have our characters be proactive in what was going on. Again, in reality, idea, was there multiple people coming up with that and multiple people saying, oh, this is this, or I don't know. They definitely tried to add as much as they could. So sometimes it feels a bit overbloated. Like they have the two bombers, one of them has these buddies in this like dorm, and they notice that Berg has explosive stuff, but then they kind of zip it up and they don't say anything about it. And later on with Tess, you find out they went to prison because they didn't tell anybody about it. That's still accessory. J.K. Simmons, he's in this other town that eventually the bombers goes towards. It was cool to see J.T. Simmons there. I thought he did a good job as this guy that I did. You don't really get to know much of Sally, but you tell he's got a calm head on his shoulders, and you get to see him kick a little bit of ass at least. There's a bit where he turns and he shoots a guy in the foot, is able to tackle him and you beat the shit out of the guy a little bit, which I thought was satisfying because not all the time you get to see J.T. Simmons do that kind of stuff. Like he's not in the film a whole lot. Like he pops up a couple times earlier. That's not until 80, 90 hours after the bombing where this stuff happens. Jimmy O, the guy who plays Maine, he's a guy who's a driver. They kidnap him to kidnap his ride, and then he's able to run off. And he is speaking broken English, but one interesting thing is at the end of the film they have the real people, the real commissioner, the real governor, the real Maine, the real couple who lost each one lost a leg. They have the real people talk. I thought that was kind of nice to hear from the real individuals that this stuff's based on. Sorry. So I thought that was a nice touch. Watertown. That was the bit J.T. Simmons was in. Watertown. There's an MIT guy, Sally. He got shot and killed because the bombers tried to take his weapon, but he didn't give it up. Like I said, there's definitely a lot of characters to deal with. And it's 2 hours and 20. Well, like 2 hours and 15 to 2 hours and 13. It's a lot of characters to try to handle and deal with in that amount of time. So maybe sometimes you think maybe this person or this person didn't get enough development, but again, it's kind of hard to do that in a little over 2 hour running time. So they definitely did enough to keep things going and moving and understand what's going on. Let's say I did like when the explosions happened, the chaos. I thought Peter Berg captured that fairly well, which makes sense because he's had a handle on action with the Rundown and Hancock and the Kingdom. But then apparently not so much in Mile 22, which was horrendously directed action-wise. But anyway, I did like Jimmy O when he escaped and turns to Mark Wahlberg. He's like, "Go catch these motherfuckers." I did like that. I thought the shootouts were actually not that badly handled. The one suspect gets wounded. J.T. Simmons beats the shit out of him. It is spoilers. While the other guy makes a run for it with a car and accidentally or not, runs over his friend, his buddy. Then they're looking for him, and apparently he was hiding out in this boat. And the cops get in on the boat, and they have a standoff, and they throw shit at it, burn a bit of it up. So the guy gives himself up and goes from there. I don't know, like it kept at a good pace to keep the intensity going throughout it, featuring very stellar performances, a good kind of gun ho spirit in a weird way, and one of those things that you're horrified about what happened, but then you appreciate kind of the gun ho courage a lot of these people showcased during this situation, and being able to have these guys found, caught, and dealt with, so to speak. So that's one of those things that like I said, I thought this was a pretty decent film. I thought it was a pretty good movie. It says Rotten Tomatoes offers a stirring, solidly crafted tribute to the heroes of a real-life American tragedy without straying into exploitive action thriller territory. I agree with that. I agree with that. Genuinely exciting megaplex entertainment informed by extensive research featuring bona fide movie stars and staged with equal degrees of professionalism and respect. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree with that. Like I said, I'm not sure about making a group of people into one character with Mark Wahlberg. That his character seems to be kind of wherever the plot needs him to be. He just happens to be there. I mean, maybe they felt to be a bit more complicated with how many, because it wasn't just one person doing all this stuff. Well, they don't make it one person, but you know what I mean. Like I said, I guess it's one of those things you either go with it or you don't. Like I said, I could see both sides, but overall, I didn't mind it because it did make it a bit more accessible to a viewer. Because there's already so many characters as is. To have even more would complicate even further. And again, because of that, like the couple kind of disappear among others, folks at the beginning, which didn't make sense for where the direction of the story, the events happened. But yeah, good intensity, good acting. I do think there was definitely a level of respect done by Peter Berg and the group here, and I agree. It doesn't feel exploitive. It didn't feel cheap. It didn't feel a cash in or anything. But yeah, this film, it got a lot of good critical notices, but it did nothing at the box office. So maybe people felt it was a bit too soon. And to be honest, people maybe they just don't want to go through that again. Like they did these 9/11 movies like World Trade Center or Oliver Stone. I don't think they were huge money makers either. I mean, maybe that United in '93, I think, but I mean, Pearl Harbor didn't do the best, but that could be because Michael Bay directed it. I just, it depends. Like, do you want to see a real life event and then be reminded of these horrendous events? And granted, it's an ode to the heroic people that survived and went through it. And sadly, there's some like the MIT guard that did not. But again, some people are just like, nah. I deal with it. Just probably the same reason I didn't go see this, which is like, oh, it's a sad real event that happened, and it's not doesn't really amount to a fun time at the movies or. But it was well made, it was well acted. Like I said, great to see John Goodman in there and Kevin Bacon. I wish, I mean, John Goodman's in it throughout. Part of me wishes I want to see him do more, but again, I don't know what. Again, that's the thing whether you do something that's based on real. You can't have a character do too much because that's not really what happened. But at the same time, like all of these, it's never 100% truth, so you go a little bit off the reservation. So how far do you go before it becomes disrespectful? That's always the thing with this type of stuff that's a bit tough. But I will say by the end, it makes you root for Boston. Especially then, the end of the film, and then it goes to the real footage of the Boston Red Sox giving their ode to the police and people out there. Again, we see the real people that talk about their experience, like the driver of Maine and all these other guys. So it was nice that they get their moment to shine on screen and about how strong Boston is, and that's a bit appreciative. So I didn't feel like I said, I could feel this came from a level of love, if that makes sense. And yeah, I liked it. It's a bit hard thing to review because it's based on something that really happened. So it's like, well, the story's unrealistic. It's like, no, it happened. What the fuck? Well, most of it happened. But yeah, that was a good movie. I'll put it that way. So that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.